Welcome to another episode on Instruments for Change. My name is Audale Martin, and we'll just get right back into our session from last week. So we were breaking down two songs, Now Behold the Lamb, and what was the other song? A Heart That Forgives. Right. And the song I just started with just now, My Life is in Your Hands, You Don't Have to Worry, which is quite similar to Now Behold the Lamb in terms of the chord structures. But today, we're going to talk about in breaking it down, we're going to be talking about some of the theory, how we build the chords and why we use these chords, which is getting just a little bit more complex. Not so much a big deal, but getting a little bit more complex. I don't know if you remember that session we did speaking about compound intervals. And just to remind you quickly of what compound intervals are, let's just go to the keyboard. Compound intervals are intervals that stretch beyond an octave, right? So for example, here is C to C. Let's come up here, C to C. And here is a major second, a major third, a perfect fourth. C to F, perfect fourth. C to G, perfect fifth. C to A, major sixth. C to 7, C to B, a major 7, and the octave. And what we were calling a second here, once we go past the octave, we now call it a ninth. So what was 2 becomes a ninth. What was 3 is a 10th. And what was 4 is now 11, 12 up to 13. We don't say 12 and we don't say 13. We don't necessarily say 12, and we don't necessarily say 10. Yeah, we do sometime. But we create chords from like the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th, right? And this simply means that you're now above the octave. So this is a simple intervals are from 1 up to the octave above, and it don't have to be from C. It could be from D. It could be from anywhere. So C to C, once you whatever was a second is now a 9 over the octave, right? Once you pass that C above, third becomes a 10. So literally, if you count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's literally the 9th note away from the C in the octave below. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What was 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a F, is now 11 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that's simply what it is, and so forth. Right? And so we build chords in between those intervals, right? There's a whole set of notes that we'll be pressing, and those are the chords in between. And they will say this is a C11, which means a C with an F at the top, or whatever it is, right? And a lot of these songs that we're playing are using these type of chords. We call them extensions. And it's really an extension of the simple chord, which is a C major chord, or a C major 7 chord, C major 7. And once you add the 7th, if you have, and we spoke about sus last class, if you have a C major chord and you add the second here, right? It's a C add 2. You add the second, right? If you have the major 7 here, C, E, G give you the major chord, and you add the 7th of the major scale, and now you have C major 7, right? Spelled right out in the chord. C major triad, major 7, right? Now if we add what we now call the 9th, this is now a C major 9. It's a major 9, right? If we omit the 7, we'll still call this a 2. If you don't have the 7, we call it C major with an added 9. If you don't have the 7th in the chord, there's no extensions. You need a 7 to now add the 9th or the 11th or the 13th. If there's no 7th in the chord, you can't call the chord extended chords of 9ths. And you have to have, so you have the 7th, then you have the 9th, and then you have such forth and then such forth, right? Right, so you have to have that major 7 to add the 9 and the 11th or the sharp 11. Here's the 11th, you sharp the 11. Or the 13, which is the A, which was 6 in the simple interval. Right, so let's just talk about the chords that are built from these kind of extensions. So we have C major, which we know to be a C major triad. And now we have C major 7, which is a 7th chord. Now we have the 9th added, right? So that's up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes, right? Here is C major 7, and the 9th, so that's C major 9, and then here's a C11. Sounds kind of funny. It really should be a sharp 11. Sounds much better. And you add the 13, and that's as far as the extensions officially go. I mean, you can add some other word, but that's where we will stop, right? So C major 7, C major 9, here's a 11th. But this 11th is more so not why this note right here don't sound good. It can sound good if we change a few notes to like this. Now we have C minor 11th, right? So the 11th using just the natural fourth instead of the raised fourth, which is a sharp fourth, works over the minor when you're approaching like a minor sound. It's a minor quality, this 11th. But for major, we'd have to sharpen the 11th. Why so? There's a clash happening somewhere, which is F and B is clashing. Right? Also, well, not only that, but F and E clashes right here. Right? Because E and F are semitones, and so we have a clash. And so we need, that's much better. We need this we need that right there. So if I should omit the 3rd and the F sharp and just play like this, well, here we're still having a clash because C and B, so we use that dominant 7, the flatted 7th rather, right? And literally, if you look at what that is, it's literally a C minor chord over B flat, right? And that gives you 11. So a quick way to find or just a C and a chord that's a tone below. Meaning a C bass, what's a tone below C will be B flat. Create a chord from B flat. And there you have 11, right? Or you could play the full minor chord over it. But sometime you're going to just need to play just a C over a B flat, and not necessarily a C minor. You may not want that sound. But that's, in a sense, that's what it is. A minor, so any minor chord, let's take A minor. What major chord would we add below it? G. And that way you naturally get A minor 11, right? So here's A minor. Here's A minor above, but I'm going to go a tone below the A minor and play G. Let's take D minor, for example. D, F, A. What chord did I play below? So it's D minor above, you go down a tone, you get C major, right? So if you look at it, here's D, here's F, which is the 3rd, A, this is the 5th, here's the 7th, which is C, E, the 9th, G, the 11th. And that literally means that you count from D up to that G and get 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So here's a D11 chord, right? And it's a minor chord. So you take any minor chord and you play the major chord that's a tone below that minor chord, and you naturally get 11. And that's a polychord. We use 2 chords to create a new chord. Why am I moving so fast? I think it's still clear. All right, so let's take E minor chord, for example. E minor chord. We're going to find the chord that's a tone below, which is D major, but we play the octave above. And it sounds nice, right? So let me just move around some minor 11s. Minor 11s. A nice pretty sound, 11s. Well, it's not music, it's just a nice sound to hear. 11s. Right? So those are 11s. And I just practice to move them around. Right? So those are 11s. And so if you start at 11s, you can just omit the 11th and now you naturally have a 9. Right? Nice sound as well. So it's literally that's a minor 9. Here's a major 9, and all I did was to change in the minor the chord. I changed major to minor, right? E to E flat. Can I just get a view of that, please? So E goes to E flat, and that B goes to B flat, C minor 7, literally C minor 7, and here's the 9th above, which is D. Because the second from C is D, and then up the octave, we know 2 to be 9 now. So that's a 9th. Here's the 9th ringing out. Here's a major, minor 9, C, E flat, G, B flat, D. That's minor now. Here's major, right? Major, minor. Here's 11th. You notice that F is going to an F sharp when I go to major. And we already explained why that F sharp goes there. Because the F is clashing with E. And also E is the second to F sharp in its scale. So it will naturally have a nice sound quality. So you can look in the chord and pick out things, pick out intervals that make sense. G to B in this major, in this chord here. G, here's the G, here's the B. That's a major third. It makes sense. Here's B to D, a minor third. D to F sharp, a major. So you look at the intervals in relation to the different chord, the different notes. So C to B is a major 7. Let's see, E to D is a minor 7. That's a nice sounding interval. Here's G to F sharp, a major 7. This is a B minor chord on top. And here's a C so there are many ways to see what's happening. So you slowly look at the chord and see what's going on. And I may have said all of that real quickly, but just go back through the video and see what that is about. All right, so let's just play through a few chords and I explain. Going back to Now Behold the Lamb. 5, 6. Why sharp 5? Because it's really a 3 and it's going D, and here's the F sharp, which is a sharp 5 to B flat. Right? So that's what the progression will do. 3, 4, 5, sharp 5, 6. Right? And so it's an inversion where the lowest note is that F sharp. So the bass player is actually playing that F sharp. He may go to the 3 if he wants to. So it gives the root of the chord. Right? Now let's talk about the actual, or not the actual, but a variation of the 3. And we're going to call this chord a sharp 9 chord. Now let's explain what that is. So here's the sound of a sharp 9 chord. This is a sharp 9 chord. I'm going to explain where is the sharp 9 and all of that. So let's look at what the chord is. Here is a D7. Here's a D major chord. And it's 7, the dominant 7, right? Dominant 7, so D7 or D dominant 7 is the same, right? So D7 for short. So D7. I'm going to omit the 5th. The 5th is the least important note right now. I don't remember if I spoke about shell voicings. I think I did, but shell voicings is where you have the root, the 3rd, and its 7th. And that's all you need to spell out the important notes of the chord. You don't need the 5th, you don't need the 9th, you don't need any of that. Yes, I spoke about it. So shell voicings, which is the 3rd and the 7th, right? So that's why I'm at the 5th right now. Can still stay, but I don't really need it. So let's go back to the screen. D, F, sharp, A, C. D, F, sharp, A, C. And so the sharp 9 voicing is a F sharp going to C, F sharp going to C, the 3rd, the 7th. Here's a sharp 9 now. So in the scale of D, let's look at it from a D. Here's the 7th. Well, we're not using the flatted 7th to create the chord. Here is D. D to E would be a 2nd, in this case a 9th. But what if I raise this D? It goes up to F. I didn't say it is belonging to, well, it's really E sharp. Sorry, it's E sharp and not F. If I say F, then that's going more like to F sharp, or meaning, it's really meaning that I am now going to the third, because some sort of F is the third of D, right? D, E, F. But if I'm going to say this is 8 and this is 9, I still need to call it E. So I'm going to call it E sharp, and in numbers that would mean 9 sharp, right? But if I say F, that would mean 10. Hopefully you're understanding that. So E would mean E sharp. I mean, I sharpen the E, and so the number I'd use is sharp 9. So here is the third, here's the seventh, and here is the sharp 9. All right, let's see how that looks in context of a C. Maybe some persons may get it a little easier. So here is C, E, G, B flat. I omitted the fifth, right? The shell voicing is C, E, and B flat, right? The first, third, seventh. Now, what would be the ninth? We know the ninth to be D. So if D is the ninth, we're going to call it D sharp, and so we're going to say sharp 9. But if I call it E flat, I'm going to have to call it flat 10, but then from the number 10 coming into play, it's no longer 9. So it's now sharp 9, right? So it's this a sharp 9 voicing, which is the third. You have the root, which is C. You have the third, the flatted seventh, and the ninth. Now the equivalent on D would be this chord on the D. So it would be F sharp, C, F, right? And that's the sharp 9 chord. So, here's a sharp 9 chord to go to the 6. Right? Why to the 6? Because D goes to a G, meaning it's a movement of a fifth. Right? It's like a 2. If we look on it from a C perspective, it's 2. Can I get the screen, please? 2 going to 5. D going to G to C. It's like a 2-5 movement. So it's a fourth interval, really, right? And it comes home well, right? D going to 6. So D major 7 going to G minor, right? Which is the same as like E major 7 going to A minor, or G major 7 going to C minor. But now it's D major 7 going to D dominant 7 going to G minor. But we're using D sharp 9 to go to G minor, right? G minor. D sharp 9, which is D, F sharp A, D, F sharp C, D, F sharp C, F, not F, E sharp. Technically, it's still a F, but we're going to call it E sharp if we're using the right theory terms. All right, so E sharp, right? E sharp, D sharp 9, which goes to G minor, right? G minor 7. I'm playing G, F, B flat, D, G. So that's G minor 7. So here's the sharp 9 to G minor 9, G minor 7, sharp 9 to G minor 9. What a lot of gospel musicians like to do is do the sharp 9 going to G11, right? So you'll hear and here is D sharp 9 to G11. Alright? D sharp 9 to G11. Now, funny enough, if you remember what we did last class, speaking about suspended chords, here is F sus 4. F, B flat, C. Sus. That's a sus 4 chord. Sus 4 chord, right? I can just add F again. But what if I add a D7 in my left hand? Here's D7, shell voicing. I omit the fifth. That whole chord together, it gives you a D sharp 9. Here's the first, the third, the seventh, the sharp 9. Well, there is something else happening in this chord. The B flat will give you what? If anybody can guess, the B flat will give you a flat 13. Why a flat 13? Because whatever is 6 becomes a 13. Let's check it from D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is now 13th of the octave. But it's really from this octave I should be counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But I flatten that and I have B flat. This is in context of a D, not in context of the key B flat that we're in, but just in context of the chord that I'm playing. So this is really a D sharp 9 with a flatted 13. But most persons just typically call it a D sharp 9 chord. So you can just look at this chord, a D7, omitted the 5th, which is a shell voicing, and I have a F suspended, F sus 4 chord. Now, a good practice is to move this chord around. So here it is, D sharp 9, E sharp 9, F sharp 9, let's do it on C, C sharp 9, and so forth. You just move it around just to see what it is and what it looks like, the shape of it on other notes, right? So, we're at D sharp 9 to G minor 7, or we can say G minor 11, and as we said, to get any 11 chord, you can add that G minor, play that G minor, and then it's the major chord, a tone below, and you get the 11th, right? So the root, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, the 9th, and the 11th, right? I can just use the 9th, but then here's the 11th. So it's really a F chord over a G minor chord. And so when things start to look complex, you can break the chord apart and you'd realize that it's literally 2 chords. Here's a G minor chord and an F major chord that give you a new chord, right? So here's a sharp 9 to the 11th, right? And then to the 2, which is C minor. C minor 7, right? C minor 7. Here's the 9th at the top. But look what I did. I played the 9th here. D to E flat to B flat like this. You can listen back to the track and see if that's actually on the song. Alright? So those are pretty much what extensions are about, and a lot of the songs that we play have in these type of extensions, like Kirk Franklin songs or the Kurt Carr songs, and they have these extensions that give it a nice contemporary sound, right? So let's go through some more and see. All right, and just in playing that part there, we spoke some time ago about the feel of how you touch the keys, right? How much weight you add, how much pressure you're playing with makes it sound a certain way. And dynamics is so important. Dynamics is so important. Dynamics is a feel by itself, right? Right? If you notice how hard I kind of played this chord a little bit loud and then this one softer. Right? It's almost like you can't hear some of the notes on the second chord. So, right? And what is happening is I am doing a little thrill from the from the G to the A. Can I get that on the screen, please? Thank you. So here's the F chord, but I just omit the F because you can omit the F if you want to. Just try it and see if you like it. So here's the G, and I move it up to the A flat to the A. So there's a little, like you get a little, right? So give it a nice contemporary sound. I wish there was a better way for you to see that. Let's do it with the, can you see it with the left hand? Right, that's what's happening. So it's like an embellishment. So And those are some of the sounds that we hear and say, oh, these sounds are nice and all of that. So, some little things like that, some little nuances to the music. Well, not really new. Musicians have been doing these things for years. All right, so there was a movement in the song, right? And that's if you look at the bass notes, it was doing in the key of B flat. It's doing 7, 3, 6. Musicians like to call this a 7-3-6, but the truth of the matter, it is a 2-5-1 in the context of G. Here's G, here's A, which is 2, here's D, which is 5, and here's G, which is 1, but it's in a minor key. So it's 2, 5, 1 in G minor, though we're in the key of B flat, right? But in speaking, when we're speaking to other musicians, especially the bass player, we just say 7-3-6. But really, it is, you don't want to say basically 2-5-1 in G. It's too much words to say. You just say 7-3-6 in B flat major, but it's really 2-5-1 in a G minor context. And so, because we don't know that, it becomes difficult to interpret the music properly, right? And that's why I keep saying 2-5-1s are very important in music. A lot of songs, you could play a song and rearrange with just using 2-5-1s, right? And if we really understand what 2-5-1s are, we'll learn a lot about music really quickly, whether in minor or in major. So for some of the musicians who don't know, that a 7-3-6 is a 2-5-1 in that minor key, then that's what that really is, right? So it is, let's look at it. So it's G, it's A minor 7 flat 5. The 2 in a minor key is minor 7 flat 5. And really and truly, it's really simple because it's taking the notes from the same major scale, which is B flat major scale. A, which is the 7. Here is A minor 7. A minor 7, and we flatten the 5th, which gives you E flat. So it's A, C, E flat, G. So A minor 7, you flatten the 5th. And it so happened that all these notes are in the key of B flat as well. This is the 7th, the 2nd, the 5th, and the 2nd, the 7th, the 4th, and the 6th of the G major, B flat major scale, sorry. Right? The 7th, the 2nd, the 4th, and the 6th. So that's the A minor 7 flat 5. And then we spoke about that D sharp 9. Right? That's what we use on the D chord, D sharp 9. And then G minor 7. If you look at our voice is G minor 7, you have F, G, B flat, D, G. Right? So there's the 7. So there's many ways. And we know that because we spoke about inversions. Right? So we can voice it like this, G, B flat, D, F. Or like this, B, D, F, G. Or D, F, G, B flat, or F, G, B flat, D. But right now I'm voicing it as F, G, B flat, D, G. Right? Why that voicing? Because it's a closer inversion to where I'm coming from, which is that sharp 9 voicing going to. So I don't want to do this and then go away. I guess the touch make it sounds good, but I don't want to move from here and then my next highest note is way up here, kind of thing. So that's the extensions right there. Let's speak a little bit about what can help you to choose notes properly, and it's common tones. Common tones, just a reminder of what common tones are. It's a note that's common between two chords, right? The note that's common between this D sharp 9 and the next chord, which is a G minor 11. What's the common tone? If you want to take the time to pause the video and figure it out, knowing that we're going to a G minor 11. The common tone here is the C. The C is the 7th for D, but the 11th for G. Right? So here it is right here. Here's a C right here. I'm playing it right here. Where you see this finger is. Right? So common tones. I have to take a break right now. My producer says so. We'll be right back and continue with common tones after this break.
The next person in line, your friend at school or your co-worker, may have COVID-19 and not know because they have no symptoms. You, on the other hand, could be hospitalized for 2 months or more if you become infected. Is it worth it? Stay socially connected, but keep the physical distance. Stay 6 feet away and avoid a hospital stay. COVID-19 is not over. Protect yourself while protecting others. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Grandma, what are you doing?
I'm looking for a program on EJC to watch.
Oh, cool.
This looks like it's a good one.
Do it.
What?
Do it.
Do what?
You seriously not subscribed to EJC Virtual Church?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to subscribe, please.
Alright, let me show you.
I don't understand.
All you have to do is log in to your Gmail account on YouTube. Scroll up like this and simple. Press this button. Subscribe. Simple. Easy peasy.
Okay, it looks easy.
Alright, now if you want to use your phone to subscribe, all you have to do is click this big red word that says subscribe.
Yes.
Like this.
Okay.
And then you hit the notification bell.
That's easy.
Exactly. Now let's go continue watching this program.
Okay.
And we're back. So we're at the common tone, right? So we're at common tones, and common tones, just to briefly talk about them. Common tones, as I said, are tones that are common to notes, right? You will have this note sharing with the next chord, or the chord after the previous chord before. And musicians will always try to keep the common tones to get a smooth transition to chords. That's the best way to choose chords. That way, everything moves in skips and in steps instead of some big jumps and leaps. For example, a C chord. Here's a C major chord, right? And if I want to go to a F chord, what's the common tone between C and F? It will be the C, because that C is also a part of F, right? Right? As opposed to moving from C up to the root position way up here. It's a totally different sound. But if I'm moving like this, where I'm keeping the C here, it remains the same, right? Right? And if I want to jump up to this C right here, I keep the closest inversion, which keeps the C at the top. See that? F, A, C, E, G, C. I keep the C at the top. And here's the next inversion. Where the C is here, and I keep the C moving to the F. A, C, F, right? So, and here is back to root position. C is right here, keep the C. So that's the common tone between C and F. The note that's remain the same. So even in complex chords, we look for the common tone, which would be the next note, which will remain the same for the next chord, right? And this is why the choice of chords, at least for me, everything will sound like very compact, meaning close. And you won't see much movement, but it's a big movement. But the common tones make them come home together and it's close, as opposed to doing this and then going way up here. But, right? Sorry. I'm looking for the and it's through practice I am able to find the common tones really quickly. All right, let's just look at one more chord. Talk about one more chord, then we'll go on to the other song. All right, and it's going to be on that same sharp 9 matter. D sharp 9, right? Give me a view, please. D sharp 9. We're going to talk about now. We talk about sharp 9. We're going to talk about flat 9, right? So we know that the 9 from D would be E, which is the octave above, and the sharp was going this way, so that means the flat is going this way, right? So it's literally a D7 chord, D, F sharp, A, C, and I add the flat 9. D, F sharp, A, C with the flat 9. Right? Here is the major, 9. Here's the sharp 9. Here is the and this would be D9 then. D9, and here's D7. Yeah, D9. D9 is different from D major 9. Right? Major 9 would literally have been the major 7. But now I've been dominant, just D9. Here's D flat 9. And the flat 9 really resolves well to that G minor 7. Right? Because the G minor 7 is going, here's the flat 9. The flat 9 resolves down to, right? Right? But here's a sharp 9. Hear the difference? The G minor. Here's a flat 9. Here's a difference. So here's A minor 7 flat 5. Here's D flat 9. And then here's the G7, G minor 7. Look at how I voice that G minor 7. F, A, B flat. F, A, B flat, D, G minor 7. With the G minor 7 with the 9. The 9th right here clashing between. And here's a clash. It doesn't sound too nice by itself, but within the chord, it sounds nice. Right? Or I can just put it up here instead. So here's A minor 7 flat 5, D flat 9, G minor 9, right? Which is a 2-5-1 to G minor, or what we call 7-3-6, right? So right? The A minor 7 flat 9, flat 5 to the D7 flat 9, G7. Right? So I have the D, C, F sharp, A, C, E flat. Right? And that's your D7 flat 9 to your G minor 9, G minor 9, F, A, B flat, D. So I think that's enough content there for that song and the breakdown and some of the theory that goes behind it. Please just send in your comments so we can try to answer some of these questions the next class. So that's the content that's the theory behind some of the things that we play in these type of songs. Now, so a different type of song is the a heart that forgives, right? Which was now this song is not a chord-like song, meaning it's about the chords. It's about the melodic way in which you play the chords, as opposed to No Behold the Lamb is just chords, right? Chords. But this song now is more about how you let the melody feel. Right? It's more about, yes, you're playing chords or broken chords, but it's really a melodic kind of song, right? rest of that is now. So it's a melodic kind of song. It's swaying in the wind and that kind of feel, right? So you don't want it's a flow. You don't want to hold too hard to your chords and you just right. You don't want it to feel that sort of way. So let's look at what the arpeggios are like. We spoke about arpeggios. We spoke about arpeggios. And look at the left-hand arpeggio, for example. Right? You have G, D, G. Going up to A to B. Look at that arpeggio. I mean, that's not exactly what the song is doing, but it's a good practice. To put both hands together, it can be a task. You notice each thing has its own time in rhythm. Ta, ta, ta. Yeah, I mean, well, that's not how the song. I think the song does. Just right, but when you're playing the song, it has this feel of a. The left hand is doing stuff like so the whole song is with my left hand. That stretch is not easy for everybody, but if you look at how I'm moving the fingers, you can see that the hand is, not trying to play everything in full blocks. I mean, I can do that because I've practiced this stretch. It's a good stretch, actually, a very wide stretch. But for those who can't make that stretch, you just roll the chord. Right? Right? So. Yeah, I'm sorry. See right there? Which other song is like melodic like this one? Until I can think of one. Give a next example. There's a part that goes, is it right? Is it possible for you to find the song anytime being? Let's go from the 3. Some stuff like this. So it's really, and this 3 is really a G over a B. Really? A G over a B. But what's happening here? I'm playing also, it's like a G sus. In truth, it's like a G sus. 2. Right? Here is the 3rd. Here is A, which is a 2 of G. B, A. Here's D, G, A again. Right? And if I should put this in one hand, it's really, I'm playing G, add 2, right? A G major chord and you add the 2, right? But I omit the third here, put it in the bass, and I'm playing an A. So that's what is happening on the right? So you realize these sus chords are really important chords, the sus chords, right? Look at this chord now. This chord which is a C chord here, C, G, E, A, D, right? And this is the 6th that I have in the chord, right? But I don't have a 7th anywhere. I don't have a 7th, so we can't call this 6 a 13th, meaning the extension, because now up above the octave, we'll call this a 13th, the 3rd. Here's at the 7th, dominant 7th. You hear the difference? At the major 7th here. So it's just a C major chord, a 6, right? And here's a 9, so we'll call this chord a C6-9. All right, go ahead, Roy. Go ahead. Let's go forward in the song. All right, go forward.
Gifts, I'm just like yours, and Lord lives and lets live, one that keeps loving over and over within Jesus Christ. Want a heart that loves everybody, even my enemies. Want a love like you, be like you, just like you did. I want a heart that forgives. Love them just like you love me, even though it's so hard to speak about it to anyone. Just like your son, I give up my right to hold it against them with hatred inside. I want a heart that loves everybody, even my enemies.
Pause right here. I thought it went to the 6, but it didn't go to the 6. From the D to the D sharp, it went back to the 5. Maybe sometime it goes to the 6. It goes to really. When I say 5, it really goes to a 1 chord over the 5 bass. So, right, this chord. Continue.
Oh, is the heart that will know so much freedom. Lord, I want to let it go. Hey, hallelujah. God, I need to let it go. Lord, it's been holding me back, and I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it no more.
So this was where we were. Let's talk about those chords for a little bit. And these chords are quite simple, but the way we approach it in terms of dynamics and touch, that's what makes the song it is, right? It's not just to play some chords, right? But it's the touch. Right, it's really the touch that makes the difference. So it's going from G to C to G again, right? But the 5 is in the bass, and then to C minor, right? C minor, but it's an inversion. So C, E flat, G. And to how simple it is, it's not even C minor 7, right? It's not even C minor 7, but it's really C minor. Well, it's really C minor 6. What would be the 6? I'll just tell you what the 6 is not, but I won't give you the theory now as to why this would be the 6 that we use. It's coming from the C melodic minor, C melodic minor. haven't spoken about that minor, but we talk about it the next time, which is, so the chords now is C, E flat, G, A, right? So it's right? Here the chord, the notes, E flat, A, C, G, D. So just take this part, just forget about the song and just try and play in this. So here the chords, B flat, B, G, D, G, D, which is a G with the other two. Here is C major with a 2, and here's G, right, with the 5th in the bass, and then C minor with a 6. So just take those chords and practice moving them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3. Can you do that in the next key, A flat? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3. Can you do it in A? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. Can you do it in B flat? 2, 3. And you just isolate parts of songs and just practice them. Alright? The original key is G. And if you notice how I break the chord, let's just slow it down. And if you notice, some of the notes I kind of delay over the bar. So even though I should have changed at the C, like here, I should change this D to a C at the very moment I changed the complete chord. But what I did was I changed the bottom notes and then change the D after. So you hear the chord that I want to play ringing, but I still keep the D right here, which we call, I don't remember what that term is called. That term called again. But it also gives what we call tension and release, right? So there's a little tension and release tension, right? But there's a next term I should be saying, but it gives tension and release and then back home, right? So in a sense, this song is, from the top, it is this chord right here. We spoke about this chord. It should be really a D major chord, but I'm substituting it for a G major 7, right? All the notes here belong to G major 7 chord, which is G, B, D, F sharp. But here's the F sharp, here's the G, here's the D, here's the G again. I'm not really playing the B anywhere. Sometimes I play that A to show that, to highlight the D major chord, which now has a G, but it's really a G major 7. And it's acting like a D major chord, and the D major chord is acting like a G chord. So they're interchangeable, right? And it's a matter of how one may feel about the chord that they will choose to play this chord, right? As opposed to just a normal D major, which sounds good. But when you sit down to practice, you'll hear what you like and the differences, right? Let's try it again. That's with a D. That's D major. That's strictly D major. Here's the F sharp. Here's A. Here's D. Here's A, here's D, which we know that to be a D major chord, right? So that's, and here's it with the G major 7 now. Here's a little clash. Hear the clash? Hear that clash, the semitone clash? Right? By itself, it's a funny sound, but when the chord comes in, it's a very pretty sound. And this F now is a F sus2, not a F major chord. Right? You can hear that hear the difference with the sus? F, G, C, as opposed to F, A, C, which is the full major chord, but here's the F sus2. That's the melody right there of what the piano does. And then this arpeggiated phrase. Right? We spoke about this progression, and it goes right down the scale. D, well, at least the bass notes go right down the scale, but the progression, G to D to E minor to D major to C major to G over with a B bass, so B over G, then A minor 7, back to the G chord with a B in the bass. And then here is this chord right here is a C half diminished, C sharp half diminished, or C sharp minor 7 flat 5, which is really, we spoke about that chord, and it's really the 7th degree in D major, right? Let's look at the D major chords. That's if you practice them. Here's that same chord. Right? So you see chords, you're borrowing chords from also other keys, right? So you'll see that happening quite a lot. So when I'm playing, I don't like to think of myself, okay, this song is in G major. That's where the tone quality is, the tonal home, the center. But you're borrowing chords from all the other keys, right? And so you will call G1. But this chord is not belonging to a G, but it is in the song. In the tonality of a G major sound, but this chord is not in a G major scale, right? These notes don't belong to, this chord doesn't belong to G, right? Or does this chord? But it's in the song. This chord, you can hear that it's right outside the key, and it comes back home, right? It gives a kind of tension to come back home, right? All right, so we're at the end of the class for today. Please to repeat the video and repeat the parts that you don't understand. I'm sure there's the clarity in there. You just have to listen to it and actually try to play the things. Don't just stare at the video. Don't just stare at the video. I know what that is like, just staring at a video, not practicing, but hoping you'll understand. You have to practice the things to actually get it. If you're just listening and intellectualizing it, and not playing it, you will never get it, right? That's some motivation right there. Just sit and practice the stuff, and you'll understand it, right? So we have come to the end, and I'll just play this song right out for you.
Join us tomorrow evening for Oh Give Thanks with Pastor Michael Lewis and the dynamic team. We look forward to seeing you at 7:30 p.m. sharp. A blessing awaits you.